Hi, welcome to learnhowtogarden.com, and in today's episode of the 10-Minute Gardener I'll show you how to prepare your asparagus bed for the winter. If you're not already subscribed to me at Learn How to Garden, there is a link directly above this film. Click on that link, it'll take you to the website, input your email address, and it means every time we put up a new film we can let you know, and it also means you get access to our free monthly newsletter. We are in my mum Betty's 10-minute garden, and this small bed is a perennial bed, and by that I mean that the things that are planted in here come back each year. So once they're planted, they more or less look after themselves. There's some weeding to do and there's some maintenance before the winter. And this bed mainly consists of asparagus, which is what these ferns are, and the actual asparagus fern you grow in the house is called asparagus fern because it looks just like this. And behind me we have sea kale. And what you need to do before the winter is take your secateurs and take all this fern off, and as you're doing it, remove any weeds from the bed. So you take it right down, all of this right back to the bed, and it's exactly the same with the sea kale. And you are taking off all this fern. We don't want it to lie and rot on the bed. We want the bed as clean as possible for the winter. We haven't kept on top of these weeds as much as we could have, but it won't harm the asparagus crop for next year. But it's very important you get them out now. And with the sea kale it's exactly the same. All of this needs to come off. Sea kale is grown for its new shoots next spring, and those shoots, when they emerge, will be covered with a terracotta forcer, a bit like a rhubarb forcer but taller, which means that the new shoots will be searching for the light. There's a very small hole at the top of it, and that will make them blanched or white, and that makes them much tenderer. If you wonder why there is a huge amount of nasturtium growing behind me, my mum has planted nasturtiums round one of her trees at the end of her ornamental garden. One, to fix nitrogen in the soil, and two, if you actually take nasturtium seed pods, you can make a fantastic substitute for capers. And in fact, in the October newsletter of Learn How to Garden, it shows you exactly how to make those nasturtium capers. So I'll just continue this and clean up the bed, and then I'll show you how to finish it off. It looks really dramatic, doesn't it? You take it all down. The actual sea kale is left as these stumps, and the asparagus is in these two beds. Remember that they were like, when we made them, they look like two long graves. And using either seaweed, and it's what I use because I'm close to the sea, or you can use any well rotted manure, go around the sea kale and between the beds. So we leave the top free where the crowns of the asparagus are, and we go between the beds because the roots of those crowns have grown down and into the bed, and where we actually want to put our feed is along the edges. Like I say, I am using seaweed mainly because the sea kale really likes it. Obviously, you know, sea kale is a bit of a hint in the name as to where it originates, but well rotted manure works just as well for the asparagus. All the way round the bed, and that's it really. We just leave this to slowly decompose through the winter. If it was manure, it'd be exactly the same. That's adding goodness, it's adding long-term fertility for these plants that are going to be in this bed long term, but we haven't got it across the tops of the plants, across the crowns of either the sea kale or the asparagus. Once you've done one of these beds, they're so easy, they will look after themselves. And as I said before, homegrown asparagus is so much more succulent than what you'll buy. I apologise for the noise of geese. We're filming this obviously in the autumn, and I'm not that far from an estuary, and in fact these are geese. There are probably about 40 geese above us now, just flying down to the estuary. So that's Mark at Learn How to Garden saying thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you enjoy this small film about how to put your asparagus bed to sleep for the winter.